She found her mother sitting on the kitchen floor at midnight, sobbing into her hands like a child. And when Emily finally learned why, she realized she'd spent 32 years living with a stranger who happened to be the woman who raised her. Emily had driven 3 hours to surprise her mom for her 58th birthday. She'd planned to sneak in with the spare key, crash on the couch, and make pancakes in the morning just like old times. But the moment she stepped through that front door at 11:47 p.m., she heard something that made her blood run cold. Crying. Deep, broken sobs coming from the kitchen. Her mother, Patricia, who taught her that tears were private things, was falling apart in the dark. Emily rushed in and found her mom on the tile floor, still in her work scrubs, shoulders shaking. A worn shoebox sat open beside her, photos scattered everywhere like fallen leaves. Patricia looked up with red, swollen eyes and tried to smile. "Honey, what are you doing here?" she whispered, quickly wiping her face. But Emily was already kneeling beside her, heart hammering. "Mom, what's wrong? What happened?" That's when Patricia did something she'd never done before. She told the truth. If you believe a mother's love never fades, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss stories that touch your heart. Trust me, you'll want to stay until the end of this one. Patricia picked up one of the photos with trembling hands. It showed a young woman in a paint-splattered smock, standing in front of an enormous canvas, her face glowing with pure joy. Emily squinted at it. "Mom, is that you?" She'd never seen this picture before. Never even knew her mother owned a paintbrush. Patricia nodded slowly. New York, 1989. I was 23. I'd just gotten accepted into an advanced program at the Art Students League. It was everything I'd ever dreamed of. Emily's mind was spinning. Her mother? An artist? The woman who wore the same 3 pairs of scrubs and worked double shifts at the nursing home? The woman whose only hobby seemed to be clipping coupons and watching the news? "I don't understand," Emily said quietly. "You never mentioned this. Not once." Patricia's voice cracked as she spoke. "Because I gave it all up 3 months after that photo was taken." She pulled out another picture. A positive pregnancy test. Emily felt something shift in her chest. She knew what was coming, but she needed to hear it. "You found out you were pregnant with me." Her mother nodded, tears streaming down her face again. "Your father and I weren't married yet. We were barely making rent. He was working construction. I was waitressing to pay for art supplies. When I found out about you, I had to choose." Patricia's hands were shaking now. The program was full-time. No way to work. No way to afford childcare. Your father said he'd support whatever I decided, but I could see the fear in his eyes. We were kids ourselves. Emily's throat tightened. She'd always known her parents struggled when she was young, but she'd never really understood what that meant, what it cost. "So you came back home," she said softly. "I came back to Ohio. Got my nursing assistant certification. Started working nights so your dad could be home with you. And I told myself it was temporary, that I'd paint again someday." Patricia let out a bitter laugh. 32 years later, and I still haven't picked up a brush. The kitchen fell silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. Emily looked at the photos spread across the floor. There were dozens of them. Her mother at galleries. Her mother covered in paint. Her mother laughing with other artists, looking free and alive in a way Emily had never seen. "Why tonight?" Emily asked. "Why are you looking at these now?" Patricia wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "Because today at work, I took care of an 80-year-old woman named Margaret. She told me about all the things she wished she'd done, the adventures she'd postponed, the dreams she'd buried. And she looked me right in the eye and said, 'Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're too old to do the things that make your soul sing.' Patricia's voice broke completely. And I realized I'm 58 years old, and I gave up the only thing I ever loved. For what? To work myself to exhaustion? To never have time or energy for anything else? Emily felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. All those times she'd asked her mom why she worked so much, why she never had hobbies, why she always looked so tired. Her mother had just smiled and said, "This is what moms do, honey." But now Emily understood. Her mother hadn't been living. She'd been surviving, sacrificing, disappearing piece by piece so Emily could have everything. "I never asked you to give that up," Emily whispered, guilt flooding through her. "I know you didn't," Patricia said, reaching for her daughter's hand. "And I'd make the same choice again. You were worth every single sacrifice." "But Emily, I'm scared. I'm scared I'll be 80 years old like Margaret, full of regrets, wondering who I could have been." That's when Emily saw it. Tucked under the shoebox was a brochure. Community art classes. Her mother had been researching, planning, hoping. "Mom, why haven't you signed up?" Patricia laughed through her tears. "Because I'm terrified. It's been 3 decades. What if I'm not good anymore? What if I wasted all that talent? What if it's too late?" Emily squeezed her mother's hand tight. She thought about all the recitals her mom had never missed, all the science projects she'd helped with after working a 12-hour shift, all the times Patricia had put her daughter's dreams first without a single complaint. "It's not too late," Emily said firmly. "And you know what? I'm going to make sure of it." Over the next 3 months, Emily did something she should have done years ago. She really saw her mother, not as the woman who did her laundry or called every Sunday, but as Patricia, a person with dreams that mattered. Emily secretly contacted the community center and paid for a year's worth of advanced painting classes. She showed up at her mom's house with canvases, brushes, and oil paints. And she sat with Patricia on that first terrifying day of class, holding her hand like her mother had held hers on the first day of kindergarten. Watching Patricia paint for the first time in 32 years, Emily finally understood what love really looked like. It wasn't just the big sacrifices. It was giving someone permission to be themselves again. It was saying, "Your dreams matter too." 6 months later, Patricia had her first piece displayed at a local gallery. Emily stood beside her, tears streaming down her face as strangers admired her mother's work. And Patricia whispered, "Thank you for giving me back to myself." What would you have done in this situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Sometimes we all need a reminder of how much our parents sacrificed for us, and sometimes they need reminding that it's never too late to reclaim the pieces of themselves they lost along the way. Because a parent's love never forgets. But neither should we.